Hello everyone, welcome to another Making Monday Lovable video. And today it's gonna be about abstract art, because this week I'm gonna post more of my abstract art paintings, and I just thought I will share with you my thoughts on that. So most of you, I guess, will know that I'm a scientific illustrator. I've studied biology, did my PhD in plant physiology, and then I started my own company to do scientific illustrations. And this is what I've been posting most of the time since 2.5 years here. And then I decided to mix it up a bit and start posting more of my abstract art journey here as well with you. And so it might seem quite different. For me, being a scientist was always something that I loved to be and to do, to think about things, to solve riddles, to understand, to get knowledge, to really dive deep into topics. And I picked plant science as my favorite topic. That's why I did my PhD in that area. And I always loved this, but I also always loved art. And then during my PhD, I found a way that I can couple both of these. So I started my own company to be a scientific illustrator. And around like 1.5 years ago, I felt the sudden urge to start painting. And it would be abstract art. Abstract art, for me, has always been the style of art that I loved the most. I just really love patterns, colors, shapes, forms, everything that is not figurative. And it has been something that a lot of time throughout my life, I felt a bit ashamed about. Why? Because, I don't know, the things that are taught or said about abstract art, or people's judgment of it, maybe. Because in my advanced art classes in high school, when I'm around people that appreciate art in general, it's not such a big topic. But even many people that are artists can't really connect to abstract art. But when we would have assignments that would be more abstract, like Cubism, for example, the artist that is very famous for that is Picasso, or Expressionism, everything that's not figurative, I loved. Because for me, it gives ultimate freedom. It can be anything that I paint. It doesn't have to represent anything in the real world. I do see the value of doing that as well. And I can paint a tree. I can paint a figurine standing somewhere. I can paint and draw naturalistic or realistic. But it just bores the crap out of me. I do not understand why I should depict something that is already in existence, visible, when I, for example, can take a high resolution picture of something. For me, I'm not drawn to something like this because it exists already. And because of that also, I would always, when I had to do this, I would always compare my outcome, my drawings, to what I see in reality. And I would immediately see, okay, perspective wrong, or this wrong, or shadow wrong. It would never be, my perfectionist brain, part of brain, would be dissatisfied, and I would get frustrated. Because there's always a comparison. And with abstract art, at least for me right now in my journey where I'm at now, there's nothing I can compare this piece of art that I create to. I often go about it, okay, I sit down, I feel like I want to paint. I sit down, prepare my piece of paper, my colors, my water, and then I just go with the flow. I feel like, what color am I drawn to? Often it's green. I go for green, take my brush, green, and start with green, some kind of, and then just start playing around with my brush and the color and the paper, without thinking about it. And that's the crucial part for me right now in my process, that I don't think. I don't have a picture in my head that I want to paint and bring to the canvas or the paper at all. It is just coming freely, and then I see what comes and I feel like, oh, maybe this color fits on that pattern or that shape, or I'm smudging it with my fingers. I use another tool. I work very intuitively on that. And throughout that process, I realize if I like it or if I don't like it, and then what should I change? How should I do? Oftentimes, if there's something that I don't like, I try to make it into something that I like. Quite often I do like my outcomes, and then I, finish them up, and then I'm happy whatever I have created. And either it was a feeling inside of me or something, my intuitive, whatever it is that came out that I created on paper. And I just love the freedom of being able to play around and not adhere to any strict guidelines and rules. And abstract artists still use rules and guidelines. It's not complete nonsense that they do. It's a lot about composition, spaces filled with colors or empty spaces. It is not at all easy to make a really good abstract piece at all. This is something that I realized while experimenting and doing it myself. If I see something that I like, I know that I like it. Whatever reason, I don't know, it's subconscious, something comes up. But to create something that I like or somebody likes, it's not so easy. There are certain things we get drawn to, like what's called the golden ratio, for example. And just the balance of colors, shapes, densities, contrasts. Because there's tons of colors you can use, you can use and do anything you want. It makes it actually extra difficult, because the more choices we have, at least for me, the more choices I have, the more difficult it is to pick. But ultimately it gives all the freedom somehow. Somehow I don't feel restricted when it comes to art, abstract art painting. And this is to create something out of nothing is amazing to me. And I don't have to use my head, my brain, which I use for science and for scientific illustrations, and then add my artistic side to it. But when it comes to abstract art, it's just it gives this freedom of like this freedom and this feeling of satisfaction of creating something that hasn't existed and that will never ever exist like that anymore, because I can't reproduce anything that I do exactly the same way anymore unless I do a print, but I'm not interested in that. So it's just this piece of wonderfulness that I've created, that I look at and that I like, and that creates such a positive feeling inside of me. This is what I love. And sometimes it's also a feeling of pain that I want to somehow process, so then I just, do this. Even if it's just a splash of color that I somehow modify a little bit, people might see it like, okay, what's that? Anybody could do it. But that's the point. Anybody could do it, but most people don't do it. And that's the other thing, like, we all can do it, but we don't. We choose not to. And there are some people that just find pleasure in doing this. So I just really love abstract art so much. And and there's of course pieces that I like more and that I like less, that I do or that other people do. But there is this type of, it can also create anything I want inside of me as a feeling, and that's the beauty of it, because two people look at a painting and feel something different, perceive something different. It's a whole new world that, is opened. So yeah, these are my thoughts on abstract art and why I love it and why I want to share it with you this year. And let me know what you think. What is your favorite art style? Maybe it's something completely different or the same. I'd love to talk about this. Bye, have a nice Monday, and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.